All right, so it is 12, so we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zulema Melendez, and I am the Communication Specialist for TMDSAS. And welcome to another TMDSAS Office Hours session. These Office Hours sessions are live Q&As to help you guys answer any questions. For the most part, we go over topics that are asked by you guys, the applicants, and it gives you guys the opportunity to ask questions in real time. And I'm really excited for today's office hour session. We do have Dr. Joel Robles, the Associate Director for JAMP. This is the Joint Admissions Medical Program, JAMP, which is a special program created by the Texas legislature to support and encourage highly qualified, economically disadvantaged Texas residents, students who are pursuing a medical education. So today's session is perfect for any prospective medical applicants, such as high schoolers, first-year college students, in addition to parents and advisors. We will be asking Dr. Robles questions about the program and go over the step-by-step process needed to prepare and apply for this unique program to help students achieve their dreams. And just a reminder, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to leave that in the comments section below, either through TMDSAS, Texas Health Education Service, or the JAMP Facebook pages, and we'll go over those, we'll answer those questions for you guys. And a recording will be available on our YouTube channel and via the Inside Health Education podcast, so you can listen or watch at another time when it's convenient for you. I'll go ahead and enter the Texas JAMP website information. So if you want to follow along, take a look at it briefly if you haven't already, and just get familiar with what JAMP is. And without further ado, while I do that, we'll go ahead and get started. Let's see, let me move my notes to the side and we'll go ahead and get started. So Dr. Robles, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you want to give a quick intro or anything about you or anything you'd like for us to know real quick before jumping in?
Sure, Zulema. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Joel Robles. I am the Associate Director for JAMP. I've been with JAMP since, oh goodness gracious, about 4 or 5 years now at this point, as a matter of fact. But I work directly with students through this program, help them make sure that they can get through it, understand everything that's going on. Very excited to join you guys today and, of course, answer any questions that you may have about JAMP.
Nice, thank you so much. All right, and so we'll get started. In 30 words or less, how would you describe what JAMP is?
Oh, 30 words, huh? Okay. Can I go a little bit over? No.
Sure.
Zulema, you actually hit it on the head earlier when you talked about our program being one that was created by the Texas legislature to provide support and encouragement for highly qualified, socioeconomically disadvantaged students to give them a pathway to get to or to pursue career medicine, specifically to become a physician. If I was to put that in even shorter words, JAMP makes the pathway to medical school a reality for Texans, specifically those who are socioeconomically disadvantaged.
Nice. Thank you for giving us a recap of what it means for JAMP. And then another question would be, who benefits from applying to JAMP? So we briefly covered it, but just go more in depth.
Yeah, absolutely. So our program, very specifically, is an assured admissions program, is designed to provide that support and encouragement to socioeconomically disadvantaged students to get that maybe a little bit of extra help to get to medical school. You know, we generally say if your pathway is one where you want to become a physician, and you're thinking about that pathway and, you know, all the intricacies that are involved in that, perhaps you're not really sure about how to get there, or maybe you need a little bit of help along that way, mentorship, you know, what have you. JAMP can provide that pathway. So that is, you know, really who benefits or who can benefit from coming into our program.
Nice. And when should the potential applicants start looking at JAMP?
My favorite question. So as soon as you can, really, I would say. So Zulema, through my time at JAMP, you know, I've talked to a lot of people, and really from middle school, high school, college, you know, quite a number of people. And usually the advice I generally give to folks is as soon as you know or have an idea that you want to become a physician, that you want to go to medical school, JAMP is something you should definitely look into. Now, if you want to become, you know, I don't know, a dermatologist a surgeon, any kind of physician really, definitely take a look at the JAMP. If perhaps you are thinking about, how am I going to make this work? Look into JAMP. If you're thinking about, hey, you know what, I just got into college and I kind of have an idea that maybe I want to go into medical school, look into JAMP. Really, the sooner the better, really, is the best advice I can give to any student who's thinking about this pathway.
Okay, nice. So it seems as if as soon as you have this thought in your mind, go ahead and look at JAMP.
Absolutely. It's really the best way to do it. The JAMP pathways, there are two, and we can talk a little bit more about it in depth here shortly. But there's a regular admission pathway and an early admission pathway. Both of them require the same criteria insofar as number of hours, GPA, stuff like that. But you do have to be in a very specific time frame in order to apply to JAMP. So that is why we always recommend, as soon as you have an idea that, yeah, you know what, medical school is something I'm thinking about, definitely look into our program. It's definitely something that could benefit a lot of folks.
Okay, perfect. And so, like you said, we're going to briefly go over those a little bit more detail in the next part of when you are getting ready to apply, which is now. So, before applying, what are the requirements to apply to JAMP?
So our full program criteria and guidelines can be found on our website, texasjamp.org. If you simply click on prospective students, or alternatively, if you're on the website, there's an how to apply section where you can find a lot of these things. However, I will cover very briefly some of the bigger ones. Well, not even really the bigger ones, but maybe some of the ones that, folks are most interested in. So there is a credit hour requirement for a program. That is 27 credit hours of college credit completed within the first year of high school with no less or 2 semesters of general chemistry completed with a grade of C or better. And that is as a full-time student. By the way, there is a minimum 3.25 cumulative GPA, 3.25 BCPM GPA. You do need to have taken either the SAT or ACT and scored above the mean for the state of Texas. Since our program is designed to help socioeconomically disadvantaged students, we are looking at the FAFSA, specifically the student aid report, and an expected family contribution from your FAFSA of $8,000 or below. There's some other criteria in there as well, such as being a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, as well as a Texas resident. However, all of that information, A through O, I believe, is actually on our website. But we really encourage you, if you're considering this pathway, definitely take a look at our program criteria guidelines. Of course, if you have questions, perhaps about your individual scenario, by all means, give us a call here at the office. We're more than happy to walk you through your specific scenario and talk about what that looks like.
That's perfect, Joel. Thank you. And from my experience working with JAMP, I know that the JAMP support team who addresses questions are really, really nice and are willing to help you guys out. So any questions, any doubts, anything you want to know, just definitely give them a call. They are there for you and there to help. And so that'll lead us into the next question that we have. What can a prospective JAMP applicant in high school do to be more competitive to apply for JAMP?
So for high school students, usually the advice that we tend to give for high school students is definitely take a look at general advice as far as getting ready for med school. So what does that mean exactly? What that means exactly is, well, volunteer experiences, having some exposure to healthcare, having a good background in foundation in sciences and math and stuff. All of those same things that you would think about getting ready for medical school can certainly apply to JAMP. Because consider this. When you get into JAMP, or if you get into JAMP anyways, as an assured admissions program, it is our goal to make sure that, well, you get into medical school. And as such, we have a very specific pathway to do that. So after you complete out your undergraduate degree, you are going into medical school through the guaranteed admission, provided all criteria is met for the program. In essence, then, if you really consider it this way, applying to JAMP can't be considered applying to medical school in a way. And therefore, to kind of roll it back, a lot of the same advice that goes towards applying for medical school can certainly be applied to JAMP as well. However, we all say this, that you should definitely meet with your health professions advisor, either at the high school or your undergraduate, to make sure that they can provide you some really good advice. Us at the JAMP office can't really provide you that advising advice necessarily. However, we can point you in the right direction to folks who can.
Okay, perfect. So that sounds a lot like with TMDSAS. We actually don't have advising services at our office either, but we are more than happy to help everyone out. And we do definitely recommend to point you in the direction to speak with your pre-health advisor. That is what they're there for. And there's definitely a team here rooting for you. It's not just you alone on this pathway. You definitely do have different contacts that you can go to. And so the next thing would be um, when they're in high school getting ready to apply, are there specific universities or colleges that they should look for to apply to JAMP?
Great question. Yes, actually, you have 70 institutions that are participating within our program, both public and private, four-year colleges and universities. Encourage you to take a look at our website, texasjamp.org, and look at our participating school list. The beauty of this list is that at each one of our institutions, there is somebody by the name of a JAMP faculty director. And the JAMP faculty director there is there to help you with your understanding of JAMP and make sure that you are on the pathway to apply to the program as well. But yes, if you were considering JAMP, one of the criteria is that you do need to be enrolled full-time at the time of the application at a participating institution. So therefore, if you're thinking about this program, it is incumbent upon you then to make sure that you are enrolled at one of our participating institutions.
Okay, perfect. And we'll go over what JFD is more in detail later on in the session. And so the next question would be, how do applicants know whether they qualify for early admission applicants or the regular track?
Sure. So I touched a little bit about this earlier, Lema, when I talked a little bit about early and regular admission pathway. And both of them have the same requirements. Both of them have 27 credit hours, although the time frame is either during the senior year of high school or during your first year of college, but the time frame is the same, of course. The GPA requirements are the same. Pretty much everything is the same. The way you can actually think about whether you're going early admission or regular admission pathway is primarily when you graduated high school, actually. And of course, working with your JAMP faculty director as well. So for this year, our regular admission applicants would have graduated high school in 2020, while our early admission applicants would have graduated high school in 2021. That's kind of the general rule of thumb that you can apply when you're thinking about JAMP. When did you graduate high school? As I mentioned before, we have a very specific pathway, which is why we encourage you to understand and learn about JAMP as soon as possible to make sure that you hit that window of eligibility.
Yeah, perfect. So that is a good point that you mentioned, is using your high school graduation as a reference to how and when you will be applying. I know that's, I attended one of the JAMP informational sessions, and that was a question that was asked a lot. And so I'm hoping that this way we adjust it twice, because it can be confusing, but it is a good way to use your high school graduation to reference when would be the perfect time to apply. So I'm just going to quickly refer to our pages just to see if we have any questions right now before we moved into the next part of the session. Let me see.
Sure. While you're doing that, keep in mind the high school thing, of course. Best advice I can give anyone who's considering, taking a look at the application criteria. Certainly review it, read it, go over it with your JAMP faculty director. If you have questions, perhaps something's not as clear to you, or maybe you just are curious about your own individual situation, the other best advice I can give you is give us a call. We'll definitely sit down and chat with you about your individual scenario and provide you the best advice that we possibly can.
Okay, nice. So looks like we don't have any questions just yet. But again, we do encourage you guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and just drop it in the chat. We will see them. We will get to it. That's what we're here for, to answer those questions. And since we don't have any just yet at the moment, we'll go ahead and just move to the next part of the session, which is once you're in college and what you need to look out for, what to prepare for. So we'll set up the scenario. It's the first month of college at a lot of Texas universities. As a freshman, what do freshmen need to know about getting ready to apply to JAMP once they're in college?
Meet with your JAMP faculty director. For goodness sake, if you don't listen to anything else, do this. Meet with your JAMP faculty director. their name, their contact information, email, phone number, all that kind of good stuff can be found on our website. It would certainly be wise and absolutely recommended that you maintain contact or initiate contact with this individual. So as I mentioned before, the JAMP faculty director, I've kind of talked about who, what they do or who they are and whatnot. But let me do a little bit of a deeper dive into this. As part of the application process for JAMP, you need two letters of evaluation. One is from a faculty member, preferably somebody in the sciences, and the other is from your JAMP faculty director. Your JAMP faculty director is essentially your point of contact there at the university or college that you happen to be attending. Their role is to provide advice and guidance for you, as well as complete one of these letters of evaluation for you while you are applying to JAMP. That's why we say you should definitely meet with them sooner rather than later. And not only can they provide advice to you on JAMP program criteria and guidelines and application criteria, but they will also be completed in a letter of evaluation for you as well. So it behooves you then to make sure, of course, that you get to know them sooner rather than later. So if you are a freshman, seriously, meet with your JAMP faculty director. The other thing I would say is there is a chemistry requirement for JAMP program criteria and guidelines. We require that a student, in addition to completing 27 credit hours as a full-time student, but we also need them to complete out 2 semesters of general chemistry with a grade of C or better. In addition to that, prior to the first summer internship, we require students to complete out Organic Chemistry 1 and Organic Chemistry 2 with associated labs. Therefore, making sure that you are on sequence for your sciences is also a very important thing to do as well. Not only is it just kind of good practice just for getting ready for medical school, it's something that you will need to do for JAMP as well. However, all of these things can be provided to you as advice by, guess, meeting with your JAMP faculty director. So that's why it's so important to meet with them sooner rather than later, or at least initiate contact with them as well. So that way you can make sure that you are on the pathway for JAMP anyways.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And again, driving home that you need to speak to your JFD. They are there to help. And this is the best resource right now is a freshman going into college. There would be the first point of contact. So definitely reach out. And so earlier you mentioned that you have to be a full-time student and enrolled at the university in which you are at completing your JAMP application. So could someone potentially transfer out of that university or college and go someplace else? Maybe they need to move somewhere, whatever the case may be. But could they transfer to another college before being accepted into JAMP?
So the JAMP application, program criteria and guidelines, states that you must be enrolled full-time at a participating institution at the time of the application. Therefore, if somebody was to not be at that participating institution, they wouldn't technically meet the application criteria then. So it is important that you also understand, of course, if you are considering applying to this program anyways, for anyone really, that once you are in the JAMP program, that you are expected to complete out your degree at the institution of which you are accepted into JAMP as well. So hope that answers that question.
Yes, because I know from my experience when I was an undergrad, I had a lot of friends who started at the same university as I did, and then they transferred for many multiple reasons. So that's just one of the thoughts that I had in mind. It's like, let's make sure we cover that.
Oh no, I totally
just
get
for any
it.
planning.
As a member of the 5 colleges group here, I get it.
For sure. All right, so getting ready to apply, submitting applications. Can you go over what the JAMP admissions process looks like?
Of course. So let's put on our scenario here and say you are now you graduated high school, let's say in, let's do this here, 2020. Mm-hmm. You were good. You met with your JAMP faculty director, as I've repeatedly stated before. You have made sure that you met all the application criteria. You have a good GPA. You've taken the SAT, ACT. You filled out your FAFSAs, all this kind of good stuff as well. And now it's time to apply. Well, the application process looks like this. You go to texasjamp.org, click on, of course, the link there that says applicants, begin filling out your application. the application as you are completing it with the excellently written by yours truly JAMP application handbook, of course. We'll make sure that you get everything that you need to get on there. And so you're going to list out all your grades, all the extracurricular work that you've been doing, everything about everything. After you submit your application, which, by the way, for this current year is October 1st at 5 p.m. Central Time, then from there, well, you're hanging tight, really. You're continuing to keep up with your JFD, seeing if there's any updates, all that kind of good stuff as well, because you've done all the hard work. You've gotten in your application before the deadline. After that, you are now working on submitting all your supporting documents. So that's all your transcripts, all your letters of evaluation, your FAFSAs, all that kind of good stuff as well that JAMP requires as part of your application. You get that in, and once again, after that, now you're just kind of hanging tight. From there, if you are going to move forward in the process, you have to know that there's an interview for the JAMP program as well. There's 2 30-minute long interviews that are conducted. So let's say you get into that, you complete out your interviews as part of the program. From there, the JAMP Council meets and then selects those students who will be part of the program going forward. And after that, that is when you then find out, hey, I made it into JAMP. From there, and then of course, you move forward with the program, summer internships, all that good stuff as well. So that's the general process. Keeping up with your JAMP faculty director, though, is a really good way to make sure you're engaged with what you have going on as well.
Okay, thank you for setting that visual timeline for us. I know as a visual learner myself, that helps a lot. So thank you. And then you quickly just mentioned the handbook with the JAMP application handbook. So just like TMDSAS, we also have an application handbook, and it's there for helping you guys out with filling out the application along the way. Any questions, just refer to that handbook as well. It's very, very important. And you did mention the interview process that goes into that. So can you tell us a little bit more about what applicants can do to prepare for those interviews?
Meet with your JAMP faculty director. What a surprise, right? But genuinely, getting practice, of course, is all good. But definitely meet with your JAMP faculty director, contacting one of your health professions advisors as well to go over this would certainly be a benefit for anyone who's getting ready for their or for their interviews. General interview advice would obviously apply as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Again, meet with your GIFD. And then you mentioned the summer internship program. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So meet with your no. Oh, yeah, not for that one. Your summer internships. Generally speaking, and I say generally speaking, because these past 2 summer internships, we've had to go virtual because of COVID. But generally speaking, our summer internships are conducted in person. They're 5 weeks long, and essentially they are a taste of what medical school is like for the JAMP program participant. So while a student travels to a medical school for 5 weeks long, they get to do classes at medical school level. They get to experience preceptorships. They get to do a lot of fun activities, enrichment. Really, like I said, get that taste of what medical school is like. If anyone joined us for our last information session for JAMP anyways, which was on August 31st, one of our alumni there said, Mr. Viet Tran, a shout out to him, of course, for thanking once again for participating with us, said it really helped with kind of getting ready for medical school, since he had a little bit more of a knowledge and foundation of what's actually, going on there. So really, that is what a student can expect. These virtual experiences that we've had, this last one was 4 weeks long, once again, conducted with a medical school. Still, of course, very robust, definitely provides a student a really good taste of, well, what medical school curriculum is like, and everything that goes into that as well. So definitely a very worthwhile experience. If you visit our website, texasjam.org, a lot of the photos that you'll see that are kind of floating around on there are actually from our summer internships, as a matter of fact. So it's a very good experience that can provide a lot of enrichment to students who are considering, JAMP as a program, of course, but just getting ready for medical school in general.
Yes, that was a lot of great information and insight as to what the summer internships are like. Again, just referring to the informational session that I attended for JAMP, I did receive a lot of information from the JAMP alumni that he last had, and he provided some great insights. It's a good source of networking, and he got to meet a lot of other JAMPers who were also in the same boat as him, all throughout Texas, just meeting in the same virtual experience, I believe, or no, this was before COVID. But yeah, it's just definitely a good experience to be with other people who are also on the same journey as you, and definitely feels like a family. From what I got, that was the what I got from his experience, which is really neat.
Definitely. I would say this, JAMP, yeah, you sometimes just kind of forget, how big, our program is, but we have helped over 600 folks become physicians here through the state of Texas, and certainly a lot more to come through this program as well. The JAMP alumni network, I guess is what I'll say here, is big, to use that very advanced word, but it's definitely a family that we have here with JAMP. Definitely one that we're proud to have as part of our stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so glad to hear that number, and I'm really hoping that it goes up really high for this next cycle for you guys. And so part of the JAM program is the MCAT preparation. Can you tell us a little bit more of what that looks like?
Yes, the MCATs.
The
So
MCAT.
as part of JAMP, one thing I mentioned is that we provide a guaranteed admission to a participating medical school provided all criteria are met. And part of that criteria, there's many, but part of it is a student needs to take the MCAT and receive a score that's set forth by the JAMP Council. To facilitate that, to provide help for students, we provide an MCAT preparation program provided in partnership through Kaplan. And it is 3 phases long. So these 3 phases are focused in on different sections of the MCAT. So phase 1 is what we call the CARS enrichment portion. That is the critical analysis and reasoning skills. That is a section that's on the MCAT, and we provide that over the summer internships for our students. So right when you get into JAMP during your first summer internship, boom, we start off with MCAT preparation because we want you to be good to go for the MCAT and to do your best on the MCAT as well. After the CAR section, we move on to phase 2, which is the science enrichment portion. The science enrichment portion is consisted of a general biology review, a general chemistry review. So they're enrichment courses that are delivered twice, 2 times a week through roughly the fall semester of a student's academic career. It really focuses on making sure that a student has a good base of knowledge for their sciences as they move forward. We then move on to phase 3. Phase 3 is the live online classes. Those occur typically between January to roughly the beginning of April. And these are live classes twice a week as well, in which students get a really good grasp on, well, putting it all together, going through what the MCAT is covering, what things that they need to do. We provide a lot of, just enrichment and support for students to make sure that they can do their absolute best on the MCAT. So as you can see, it's a pretty comprehensive program.
Yes, and I love to hear how much preparation there is for the MCAT. Just from the experiences of working with our applicants, the MCAT can be very stressful, and there are times when it's hard to set time aside to prepare and study, and it can be a lot. So just having a program that part of it is to help you with preparation for the MCAT, I think is just a great an opportunity there. So definitely again, look into it if that's something that you're considering, as this is one of the plus to being in this program. So with that being said, once let's say they've already taken their MCAT summer internships, what does the medical school application process look like for JAMP students?
Oh, so JAMP applicants or JAMP participants, anyways, who are in the program who have met all the criteria. So they've taken the MCAT, they got the MCAT score that they need. Now it is time for that JAMP student to fill out the TMDSAS application. In addition to that, they also need to fill out all their secondary applications as well, and of course do everything that you would expect a medical school applicant to do. From there, after they've completed out all of these steps, TMDSAS application, all of the secondary applications, then it's interview time. So our JAMP participants then interview at the participating institutions, and then from there, they proceed forward just like you would expect any medical school applicant, really. So yeah, that's pretty much it, actually. Pretty cut and dry, actually. There are some intricacies for JAMP students, such as timeframes. We do operate off a little bit of a different time frame for JAMP. We tend to do things a bit quicker, of course. But within the frame of this, or framework of this conversation anyways, best thing I can say is, yeah, students fill out the TMDSAS application, and then they do the interviews at the medical schools that are part of our program.
Yeah, so thank you for kind of connecting those two together for us. So if there are any questions about TMDSAS and the application process on our end, you can let us know in the comments. Give us a call, send us an email, whatever it is, or even look on our website. We do have a lot of information there. If you go to our homepage, the first thing you'll notice is a carousel of pictures, and then right next to it, 3 buttons: medical, dental, and veterinary. And it just, if you click on one of those, specifically medical, and when it comes to JAMP, it's only the medical program. But once you click on that, then it gives you a list of things to look out for, getting ready to apply, when you apply, and what to do after. So that has a lot of useful information on there as well. And then lastly, does JAMP end when students have been accepted to medical school?
JAMP continues to provide students who are medical school a small scholarship as well, actually. And of course, Salema, I think you're probably one of the best people to know this. We still reach out to our alumni from time to time to help tell us about what JAMP is, what it has all about stuff. And then each of the medical schools, of course, that are part of our program, there's a small JAMP community at each one of them as well. So certainly, you know, the connection doesn't end by any stretch of the imagination. We'd love to hear from our students how they're doing, especially how they're going through everything, of course, as well. We've had a lot of really amazing people come through JAMP. I'd actually encourage anyone who's interested. We actually have a featured students section page on our JAMP website where we have alumni, undergraduate students, medical school students, all that kind of good stuff as well. You can hear about their story, kind of how they found out about JAMP, their pathway through everything, and what they may be doing right now. Really can't say enough good things about all the folks.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. So I guess just to kind of recap the couple of things that stood out to me. Number one, meet with your JFD. That's the most important one. Meet with your JFD as soon as you have a thought about going into the medical field. You can go to the website. JAMP website has a lot of information. So it'll tell you the information, how to contact your JFD, information about applying. So that would be the second thing. Go to the JAMP website. And I think the other one, maybe I'm a little biased because I already saw the informational, but it's definitely connection and support. You're definitely not alone in this journey, and JAMP is a very supportive program, which I encourage everyone to take a look at. As you can see from what Dr. Robles said, it just has a lot that it can provide for you and help you out with this journey. So I'm going to quickly look over to see if we have any questions in the chat. Let's see. And again, if you haven't asked any questions yet and you would like to do so, feel free to plug it into the chat, either TMDSAS, JAMP, or the Texas Health Education Service Facebook pages. And I just have it on my big screen on this side. All right. Okay, so no questions so far. But just a reminder, if there is a time when any applicants or any future applicants can look at this later on, we do have this available on our Facebook pages, on our YouTube channel. and as well as the Inside Health Education podcast. So fear not if you didn't get to watch the entirety of the session, or you really wanted to watch this, it's just time conflicting schedules or whatnot, you can definitely rewatch this and listen at another time. And so, Dr. Rolus, any other last comments that you would like for us to know? Anything you'd like to provide?
Sure. I guess I'll just kind of summarize it by this. If you were thinking about going into medical school, if you have this dream to become a physician, and if you are thinking about maybe healthcare as a career going forward, I truly encourage you to take a look at JAMP, see what we have to offer. We provide a lot of help, support, mentorship, guidance, all the good things to the students who are part of our program. Truly, the network that JAMP has is invaluable for anyone who's considering the pathway towards becoming a physician. And I'd really like to just personally invite you to take a look at our program and see what we can help you with as well. Meet with your JAMP faculty director, for goodness sakes. Forgive me for going so much about it, but truly they're going to be kind of step one that you need to do. Visit our Texas JAMP website. If you have questions, don't hesitate to give us a call. We're more than happy to answer any questions that you may have and make sure that we provide you the best possible guidance and advice that we possibly can on your journey here. As I mentioned before, JAMP has helped a lot of people. We're going to continue to do so as well to make that dream to get to medical school, a reality for those students who are part of our program. So really, give us a look. Definitely check out our website. If you have questions, give us a call. We're happy to help.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that information, and thank you for joining us for this TMDSAS office hour. We really look forward to working with JAMP and having this opportunity. Since on the TMDSAS side, we know how important it is and a great program. We just want to shout it out to the world and let everyone know and to take a look at JAMP. So I appreciate you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. Everyone else, as I mentioned, if you didn't get a chance to watch this entirety session, or you want to listen at another time, just to make sure that you can get a recap of what we talked about, feel free to do so. And if you have any questions, again, give JAMP a call, give TMDSAS a call. You can also send us an email at info@tmdsas.com. If you have any specific questions you didn't catch where to go look for information for JAMP, we will be more than happy to redirect you to JAMP. So thank you guys so much. I hope everyone has a great rest of y'all's day, and we'll see you guys next time at the same time, same place. And thank you again, Dr. Bolis, for being with us.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great day, everyone.